All right, good afternoon, everyone. Whatever. My name is Benjamin, and welcome to another series on our redistricting for 2022 with the actual numbers. Um, so I've done a few things. Number one, we're looking at Wisconsin here, by the way. And this actually may look like a reasonable map outside of one or two areas. The second kind of does what it does in real life. The third kind of does what it does in real life. Except you'll notice in some areas, well, you've got some ugliness here in Eau Claire, but I've checked, it is all contiguous. Um, except for that, which that's frustrating. I am going to fix this, by the way. So that is the seventh needs to eat part of the third, and we're going by block. So I think this is actually just the entire precinct. So I think I can just switch that. Can I? There we go. And I think that's actually that problem solved. And then that's contiguous. But the real thing that you'll notice shows up when we get down around Milwaukee, Kenosha. And if we turn down the opacity, you can see I put a little Ohio in my Wisconsin. And, yeah, I do admit that I wound up having to sacrifice a decent number of voters in this precinct in order to do that, but Racine and Kenosha, which tend to vote more Democratic than the rest of the areas around them, well, let's put it this way, are now part of the Milwaukee district under Moore, one of three Democrats in Wisconsin's congressional delegation. The others being Pecan and Ron Kind in the third, which is really just the driftless area. Which is, I've said this before, drifting towards the Republicans. And gerrymandering Wisconsin is pretty easy. Dane County and the bluer communities around Dane County form the second. Milwaukee, Kenosha, and Racine form the fourth. North of Milwaukee forms sixth. Green Bay and the Peninsula, as well as jutting into the center of the state. I could adjust some things, but this was the best way I could do it while preserving a pretty Republican map, because that was the goal. Because I'll explain how Wisconsin's redistricting may actually go down. Because they have a Republican state legislature, but a Democratic governor. And the governor is going to say, make it a 4-4 map, which is easily doable, don't get me wrong. But the Republican state legislature is going to want to kick Ron Kind out for good. I don't think they'll be able to make it a 7-1, but they can easily make it a pretty solid 6-2. Especially as time goes on. Of course, you've got the 7th up here in very north Wisconsin with these three blue counties, which for some reason continue to vote for Democrats. But let's show, now this is the composite map data set, so we're going to show the data set. No, sorry, this is on President 2016. Should have it on composite. Okay, even on the composite, we're still reasonably Republican here. Did I miss a precinct? Huh. Let me change that back to the map colors. Okay. Oopsies. Hopefully that didn't mess anything else up. And I'm noticing a few more of these little tiny rogue precincts. That I absolutely have to fix. I think that one more. I think that's it. There we go. I did this map yesterday. Oh, there's still non-contiguous stuff. That's good to know. And like I said, I apparently need to fix this. Okay, well... Okay. There we go. I think that solved the problem. There we go. I did have to do some split precincts just to make numbers work and connect some of the discontiguous or non-contiguous precincts. But anyway, let's go back to partisan lean now that we're on the correct data set, the composite. And I'm going to show you why Wisconsin is actually one of the easier states to gerrymander like this. And that has to do with the political geography. For example, if I take off the partisan lean here, even in the composite, you can tell, been mostly, this reasonably Democratic area centered around Madison, as well as Kenosha and Milwaukee. Under normal circumstances, I would include this town in the second, which would allow me to maybe make the third a touch more Republican, maybe by sneaking down into here and here. But the problem is the representative from the first district actually lives in this small community, so can't do that. And it's actually shocking how heavily Democratic even these more rural areas outside of Madison really are. And I think eventually, at least this part, it's going to slowly turn more Republican outside of Madison, as well as these areas are going to get even more Republican favorable as time goes on. But, as you can see, it's very easy to draw these districts. And if we switch to President 2016, we can see kind of what I said, is that this area gets a lot more red in particular. Turn the partisan lean back on, and that is very heavy win for the Republicans in the congressional map. Let's turn it back off and look at the senator, where Ron Johnson actually did outperform Donald Trump slightly, but it was more in the Milwaukee suburbs rather than where Trump did his best, which was in the more rural parts of the state. Senator 2018, well, the driftless area returned back towards the Democrats, and if we put it back, even my heavy gerrymander of the first congressional district to get rid of Racine and Kenosha the end of the day, it still went to Tammy Baldwin. Oop, don't want that. And even these districts were reasonably competitive, but that's what happens when the Democrat wins the state by about 7 or 8%. Which is hilarious because, well, in the same year, there's split ticketing going on in the first. Because Steele, he won his election in the first. It is Steele, right? That's how you say his name. Then we flip back. I think this was governor? Yeah. No, attorney general. Yeah, Steele. And in the attorney general's race, well, Republicans won the 6 districts that I had planned for them to win. Governor 2018, same story. President in 2020, the one where you would expect Biden to maybe pick up a seat. He doesn't. But he does improve in the 5th compared to previous maps, as well as a little bit in the 6th. And this has to do, and I should probably go back to Senator 2018, the Attorney General's map, and show this to you without the partisan lean colors on this. And the governor in 2018, you can see the state is very slowly turning towards the GOP in these rural parts of the state. And right now, the Democrats aren't competing well enough in the Milwaukee suburbs to make up for that. Now we go to President 2020. We can see just how close the state was and how red the state is getting. Even the Kenosha area, you were starting to see in some of the earlier data sets, all of this was actually blue, and we're seeing that it's slightly less blue than it was. This community is getting slightly less blue. Red is starting to creep in towards Madison. Red is really starting to creep in over here. It's starting to get a lot redder. Zoom in on out there. And yeah, it's still, oh god, I've got to sort. No, okay, never mind. I thought those were, no, they're just random deep blue precincts. We can even see up in here, Republicans are starting to vote more and more. This is kind of a really weird county, and I want to know the story behind this one. I want to know the story behind Menominee. Green Bay, well, it's a leans blue city in a sea of red. And, well, like I said, compared to 2016, Biden definitely did better in the suburbs. But if you notice, some of these areas out here got a lot more red. And we're focusing on the 5th here to show you this. And that kind of made up for the losses in the suburbs. I think even if the suburbs were almost all blue to varying degrees, this would still be a leans R district just because of how red the rest of the district is and is becoming. But yeah, that kind of shows you that, in my opinion, the composite isn't unreasonable in Wisconsin. And why I think this is a pretty good map. I think worst case scenario for the Republicans is that they eventually lose the 1st district, pick up the 3rd, and the 5th gets more competitive. But then again, probably in the 2030 census, by the time anything like that actually does happen, the state is going to lose another district, and then you can consider maybe chopping out the second district and splitting that up, which could very well lead to, I don't know, you'd still probably want to find a way to, I would probably link Madison to the Milwaukee suburbs, and it would be you would wind up unfortunately having a 5-2 in that situation instead of 6-2, but you really can't get rid of, maybe you could find a way to do it. You'd have to be very careful about it. But, like I said, you'd probably wind up getting stuck with a 5-2 map in Wisconsin, unless things dramatically change. Now, as for why I think a map like this, not exactly like this, but similar to this type of a plan, is entirely possible within Wisconsin, is because of the way Republicans may or may not try to do redistricting, which would be in a process similar to reconciliation in the federal Congress, right? Basically, they include the redistricting plan within other talks and pass it through in a way that does not require the governor's signature, and they can pass whatever map they want. And because Republicans actually have a supermajority in Wisconsin in the state legislature, they actually have the ability to do this. Though if they do, the Democrats are going to sue, and they're going to sue hard, because there is precedent in Wisconsin Supreme Court, which currently is controlled by Republicans, that you can't redistrict like that. We'll see if the Republicans opt to go that route and trust in the Republican-controlled Supreme Court of Wisconsin. I think the court may err on the side of precedent rather than partisanship, but you never know. So, kind of, we'll see about that. Anyway, I hope y'all enjoyed. As always, likes, comments, subscriptions, they always do help, and I greatly appreciate them. Likes and comments help the algorithm to not hate me, especially as my upload schedule is a little bit more inconsistent than usual. And likes and comments, well, obvious, and subscriptions, I'd love to reach 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year. Let's see if we can hit that goal. We've got about 5 months left. Certainly doable, considering we're less than 150 away, and I think there's more than 150 days left in the year. Spread the channel, hit the bell icon, and share the content. Thank y'all. Hope you enjoyed. See y'all next time. Bye-bye.